Now, to get started, before we open the super exciting PrintRBot box, we need to get some tools ready. So, what you will need is light machine oil. So, if you go to a supermarket, you'll find it as sewing machine oil. If you go to Bunnings, you'll find it as light mineral oil. It's cheap and printers love it. Second, you'll need a Stanley knife. So, there's the fixed blade type like this, or there's the adjustable blade like this. If you're going to use one of these, make sure you leave it locked at all times when you're using it so it doesn't push in on you, because we don't like surprises with knives. You probably need a texter at some stage for marking stuff, and a nice ruler never goes astray. A piece of sandpaper will make life easier. Not strictly necessary, but if you want a really nicely finished PrintRBot, I'd highly recommend it. And some super glue. Super glue is always valuable. I tend to use it as a cheap thread locker, and you can also use it to harden the wood if you have to do a bolt up extra tight. And we'll get to how tight bolts should be later. A small hammer. It's going to be good for knocking pieces together. Now, remember, Superman doesn't own a 3D printer for a reason, because he would break it. As a matter of fact, Hulk doesn't have a 3D printer either. You know why? Because Hulk smashed. So this hammer's for tapping, not for destroying. And you'll also want a pair of small pliers. So you want these so that when you do a zip tie up, you can pull it slightly tighter than you can by hand. And you'll also want a pair of side cutters or wire cutters so that you can cut the tails off the zip ties. These pliers have a cutter in them, but I've got side cutters which are a bit easier, but not strictly necessary. So the last thing you need, which we haven't got yet, is a parts container so you don't lose any bolts. And my favourite parts container is actually made out of a sheet of paper. It's really simple to do, and there's a few good reasons to it. So you simply fold each side up by about 2 centimeters and use your fingernail along the edge to make sure the paper folds perfectly. Do that the whole way around. Again, use your fingernail to press that fold in strong. By the time you finish this, you will have almost completed a homemade parts box. Last thing left to do is grab these corners and fold them inwards and in half. Again, just use your fingernail as best you can. Pretty soon you'll see a parts box emerging from what was once a sheet of paper. Now, the reason I don't just use a plastic pot is there's 2 reasons actually. Firstly, small metal parts tend to show up really well on white paper, which is also why I've covered the table in white paper. And secondly, you can space things out well. This container is so flimsy it will never slide off your table. And if you need to pick up a washer that won't come out of the container, you can simply fold the side down and pick it up. So it's our multifunction container that we can use to hold tools, and we can build another one to hold our parts. Just so happens there's one I prepared earlier that SpongeBob's run off with, so I'll have to go find it. Yeah, Bob, I'm going to need that container back, mate. Sorry. And next we'll get on to unpacking the PrintRBot.